The hangar was silent except for the faint hum of fluorescent lights. 47 men stood frozen, their laughter dead in their throats, their boots rooted to the polished concrete floor. Just moments before, they had been jeering, smirking, making crude jokes about the scuffed backpack slung over her shoulder. But now their eyes tracked every movement of her hands as she assembled the M249 light machine gun in 38 seconds flat, blindfolded, the metallic clicks echoing sharp and decisive through the cavernous room. The final snap of the receiver cover locking into place sounded like a gunshot. Her hands moved with absolute certainty, her breathing calm, her posture commanding. No one dared speak. The air itself seemed to tighten. They realized all at once that she wasn't who they thought she was. But let me start from the beginning. She arrived at Fort Bragg on a gray, rain-slicked morning, dressed like any fresh recruit. Loose fatigues, boots that looked a half size too big, and that battered backpack. Its straps frayed, its canvas patched with duct tape in 2 places. On the manifest, her name was listed simply as Reynolds J. No first name, no rank noted beyond private. She blended into the sea of new arrivals, shuffling into formation. Most of the men had already sized each other up, some flexing their confidence, others masking nerves. They noticed her backpack first. A few chuckled. One, a broad-shouldered sergeant candidate named Miller, muttered loud enough for others to hear. Guess somebody brought their high school book bag. What's next? Lunchables in the side pocket? The laughter spread. She didn't flinch. She didn't answer. She only adjusted the strap across her shoulder and stepped into line. The facility loomed behind them. A sprawling training compound built for airborne and special operations preparation. Inside, fluorescent lights reflected off white tile floors, and the faint scent of oil and metal hung in the air. The walls carried plaques of airborne units, call signs painted bold across the corridors. Falcon Company, Viper Platoon, Echo Team. This was where soldiers learned if they had what it took to make it to the next level. From the start, she seemed out of place, or so they thought. When the drill instructors barked orders, she answered evenly, never raising her voice, never stumbling. When others hurried through weapons checks, fumbling with safety catches, she moved methodically. And yet, that backpack, always at her side, always drawing whispers. The men didn't know that inside was more than spare socks and an MRE or 2. Folded in the side pocket was a weathered set of orders stamped with red ink. Classified. In the bottom pouch, wrapped in cloth, was a challenge coin from JSOC, etched with an eagle and lightning bolt. She wasn't a recruit at all. She was already a staff sergeant in the 75th Ranger Regiment, sent undercover to evaluate the training cadre itself. But she never corrected their assumptions. She let them laugh. Days passed, and the tension built. During ruck marches, she carried her pack without complaint, though some noticed the way she paced herself, hitting mile markers with uncanny precision. When they covered 12 miles in 2 hours 45 minutes, she crossed the finish line exactly on the standard, her breathing calm, while others bent double, gasping. Still, the jokes persisted. In the mess hall, Miller leaned across the table. "Hey, Reynolds, what's in the magic bag? Barbie dolls? Nail polish?" A few men snickered. She only lifted her gaze, eyes steady, then went back to eating. Her restraint wasn't weakness, it was calculation. The misunderstanding deepened during weapons familiarization. When the recruits were handed M4 carbines, many fumbled with the magazines, struggling to lock them into place. She handled hers with casual ease, but deliberately moved slower than her instincts urged. The instructors noted her steady grip, but the others didn't see it. To them, she was just quiet, maybe timid. By the second week, the atmosphere had shifted. The cadre introduced live fire drills, close quarters battle simulations, and night navigation exercises. Here, subtle cracks began to show. Miller, cocky and loud, struggled with map coordinates, misreading grid references by hundreds of meters. Another recruit panicked during a live fire movement, freezing when the crack of rounds echoed over the range. Through it all, Reynolds remained steady. She said little, but her actions were precise. The crisis point came during a simulated assault drill inside the aircraft hangar. The recruits were tasked with assembling weapons blindfolded, a test of muscle memory and discipline under pressure. Miller swaggered up first, boasting he could assemble an M249 faster than anyone. His fingers slipped twice, his receiver jammed, and he cursed loudly as the clock ticked past 2 minutes. When Reynolds' turn came, a few men snickered, expecting her to fail spectacularly. She reached into her backpack, pulling out a worn black blindfold. The room erupted with laughter. She brought her own. One called out. Then silence fell. Her fingers moved with the speed of repetition ingrained over thousands of hours. Bolt, barrel, heat shield, all clicked into place with clean precision. The stopwatch read 38 seconds. The instructor's whistle cut the silence. Time! She pulled the blindfold away. For the first time, her eyes met the room. Steel gray, calm, unflinching. Staff Sergeant Reynolds, she said evenly, 75th Ranger Regiment, attached to JSOC under call sign Valkyrie 1. I'm not here to train. I'm here to evaluate. The hangar erupted, not with laughter but with stunned silence. 47 men stood rigid. Miller's jaw slackened. Someone whispered, "Holy hell." She continued, her voice steady. You've been given every chance to show discipline, integrity, and humility. Some of you rose to that standard, others didn't. That backpack you mocked, it's been with me on deployments in Kandahar, in Mosul, in places you've only read about. Inside are the notes I've taken on each of you. Consider that the only weight that matters. The statistics landed like blows. 12-mile ruck march, completion times ranging from 2:45 to 3:22. Weapons assembly times, between 58 seconds and 2:14, except mine. Land navigation errors. 6 recruits failed to plot within 200 meters of target points. These aren't just numbers. They're measures of whether you'll survive when lives depend on precision. Silence deepened. She could feel their respect shifting, solidifying like steel under heat. Later that evening, the mood in the barracks was transformed. Men approached quietly, no longer with jokes, but with earnest questions. Staff Sergeant, how did you stay so calm under fire? What's it like jumping into a hot zone at 600 feet AGL? She answered sparingly, never glorifying, always grounding her stories in discipline and teamwork. Miller was the last to approach. His voice was quiet, stripped of arrogance. Ma'am, I owe you an apology. She regarded him for a long moment, then nodded. Don't apologize to me. Prove it on the course tomorrow. The final week passed differently. The recruits worked harder, spoke with more respect, carried themselves with sharper posture. They had been humbled, not by punishment, but by truth revealed. When her assignment concluded, she stood before them one last time. You'll forget my name, and that's fine. Remember instead that respect isn't given. It's earned, every day in every detail. The Army isn't about who looks toughest or talks loudest. It's about who you are when nobody's clapping, remember that. As she shouldered her battered backpack and walked toward the transport truck, the men rose as one, boots thudding together, hands at their brows in salute. 47 voices spoke as one, Airborne Staff Sergeant. For the first time, she allowed herself a small smile. And that's the lesson I want to leave you with. Strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, steady, carrying a weight nobody else sees. Respect the ones who walk among you, because you never know the battles they've already fought.